Money. We use it every single day. But do we really understand what it is or how it works? Well, today, we're going to pull back the curtain and uncover the secret life of money. We're going to follow its incredible journey, from just a simple tool of exchange to the powerful force that shapes our entire world. And we'll do it all by tracing a single, simple transaction from a really foundational economic text.
Okay, let's start with a really basic question. Why is it that you can trade something you made, let's say a shirt, for something completely different that someone else wrote, like a book? I mean, think about it. These things have different uses, they're made of different materials, by different people. How on earth do we all agree that they're somehow worth the same thing? This simple puzzle is really the key to understanding everything else.
Now, to get to the bottom of this, we're not going to get lost in a bunch of complex charts or abstract theories. Nope. Instead, we're going to follow one simple transaction. A story, really, from beginning to end. And through this story, I promise, the hidden mechanics of money are going to become crystal clear.
All right, first things first. Before any trade can happen, we need a way to compare, apples and oranges. Or in our case, shirts and books. We need some kind of common ground, a universal language of value. So, every product, or as our source calls it, a commodity, has two sides to it. Its use value is super simple. It's what the thing does. A coat keeps you warm. Easy enough. But its exchange value, well, that's what that coat is worth compared to everything else out there in the market. And for any trade to happen, we have to focus on that exchange value.
So, how do we measure that? This is money's first and maybe most important job. It acts as a universal measure of value. Now, it's not that money magically makes things comparable. The idea here is that because all commodities are products of human labor, they are already comparable on some level. Money just gives us a universal yardstick, like gold in our source's example, to express that value. It turns value into a price.
And here's a really subtle but absolutely crucial point. Money is doing two different things here. As a measure of value, it's kind of abstract. It's this social idea that represents all the labor baked into a product. But as a standard of price, it's something very concrete, a specific fixed weight of a metal, like an ounce of gold. So one is the idea of value, and the other is the physical ruler we're using to measure.
Okay, so now that we've got our universal language of price all sorted out, let's get back to our story. It's time to see what actually happens when a real product goes on its journey through the marketplace.
All right, let's meet the hero of our little story, a simple weaver. He's made 20 yards of linen, and through that magic of the measure of value, he knows its price is 2 pounds. Now, he's not going to use this linen himself. For him, it's purely a ticket to get something else. So off to the market he goes. And this is where we see that two-part transformation in action. First up, there's the sale, or CM. Our weaver exchanges his commodity, the linen, for money. Then comes the second step, the purchase, MC. He takes that money and exchanges it for a new commodity, a Bible. The end result is CC. He swapped a commodity he couldn't use for one that he can. Looks like a perfect exchange, right? But is it always that simple?
This is where the drama really kicks in. That first step, the sale, it isn't just a friendly handshake. No, it's a leap into the great unknown, and it is absolutely filled with risk.
Our source calls this the salto mortale, the deadly leap. For our weaver's hard work, his linen, to actually become money, it has to successfully make this jump. If it falls short, if nobody buys it, that linen is just a useless pile of fabric, and all of our weaver's labor was for nothing. And this is the moment of truth for literally every single person trying to sell something. So why might this leap fail? Well, there are a few brutal reasons. Maybe, just maybe, nobody actually wants or needs linen right now. Or maybe the market is already flooded with it from a bunch of other weavers. Even worse, what if some new technology lets his competitors sell their linen for way cheaper? In any of those cases, his leap fails. The market, not the person who made the thing, gets the final say. Ouch. But hey, let's be optimistic. Let's say our weaver makes the leap. He makes the sale.
The linen's gone and he has his 2 pounds in his hand. So, now what happens to that money? Well, the linen story is pretty much over. It's going to be used by someone. The money story, well, it's just getting started.
I love this quote from the source. It's such a powerful image. As all these commodities are constantly being bought and sold, the whole system just sweats money from every pore. It's like the essential fluid that keeps the entire economic body moving.
You see, unlike a commodity which gets used up and drops out of circulation, money is a true perpetual mobile. It's a perpetual motion machine. After our weaver uses his 2 pounds to buy that Bible, the Bible seller then uses that same exact money to buy some brandy. And then the brandy seller uses it to buy something else, and so on and so on. The money never rests. It's on a constant journey, always moving further and further away from where it started. And over time, this constantly circulating money starts to change. Take the British pound. It started out as a literal pound weight of silver. Makes sense, right? But through centuries of kings messing with the currency and standards changing, the name pound got detached from its physical weight. It became a symbol. And that right there unlocks the whole secret to paper money. Once we all kind of agree that the name on the coin matters more than the metal it's made of, the function of money becomes purely symbolic. And that's why a piece of paper, but basically no value in itself, can stand in for gold and do the job just as well.
So far, we've only really seen money as this go-between for two different products. But as economies get more complex, money takes on some new, more powerful, and honestly, sometimes kind of strange new forms.
For example, what if our weaver sells his linen and then just stops? He doesn't buy the Bible. He just holds on to the money. That is hoarding. The smooth flow of that CMC cycle is broken. The money gets yanked out of circulation and it, quote, petrifies. It's not a flowing river anymore. It's a solid, immovable treasure.
And as hoarding becomes a thing, money takes on this whole new life of its own. It's no longer just a tool for buying stuff. It becomes the universal symbol of wealth and power. This incredible quote from Columbus really says it all, doesn't it? Money becomes an end in itself, a social power that can seemingly achieve anything.
All right, one last form for you. What if the Bible seller gives the weaver the Bible today, but the weaver says, hey, I'll pay you for it next month? Well, a whole new relationship is born. Creditor and debtor. And money gets a brand new job. It's not just for making things circulate, it's now a means of payment. Its function is to settle the score, to close out a transaction that already happened in the past. So, all of this brings us to one final, kind of mind-bending thought. We've learned that price, the actual money we hand over, can be and often is different from a commodity's true underlying value. So this leaves us with a question to chew on. The next time you buy something, what are you really paying for?